What's going on, Stainless Brainers? Well, we're back on to the Samurai build we call Old Round Eye. So I think where we left off was we had got the front bumper and winch mount and stuff on, so it's pretty much a chassis now from front to back. So what we're gonna do from here, we need to move on to doing the front forelink. We now have everything here. We went and picked up some bolts this morning, grade 8 hardware, picked up some joints from Kitsap Customs, went out to our buddy Alex Sims at Central Welding Supply, picked up some consumables, seen our buddy Charles at Interwest Metals, got all our link material, and then we picked up some rim stuff. So we have this 1/4 inch plate here for link brackets, some 3/16 material for the truss, 1/8 inch sheeting for shock mounting brackets on the chassis. So we now have all the material we need to essentially forelink the front, put all of the shock mounting brackets on, and final weld all of that stuff, and the chassis will be at that point a complete roller, and then we'll move on to the air shock mounts. And I have to order the little misalignment bushings because I never even noticed that we didn't have them, which is totally no big deal, other than I really wanted to work on that in this video. So it's a possibility that I might just have some material here and make my own. I have to go through and look at that. But anyway, so first thing we got to do, there's the old leaf spring brackets that are still on that front diff and some old shock mounts. So we need to remove those, get the housing sanded down. Then down inside here in this area, our plan is upper forelink attachment is going to be out in this location, and then we need to build a cross member that shoots underneath the transmission down there to pick up our lower forelink brackets. So in the thought process of going through and doing this, I have a friend of mine who's built a lot of Toyotas, some pretty cool low to the ground, big tire Toyota stuff. And I always remember him running a high pinion in the front for clearance issues. So being that we cut this off at the firewall and we have raised a ton of room, gained a ton of room by the frame, the clearance issue is possibly with the driveline. So it's gonna have to be a 2-piece driveline no matter what. We gotta go from the transmission out to the chassis, down to the front diff. Plus, being that this is gonna be kind of a trail rig only, it's not gonna be driven down the highway, I'm okay with tilting the pinion angle up a little bit. I'm not too worried about the caster and the camber. It's full hydro, double-ended ram hydro, and it's probably never gonna see over about 22 miles an hour. So there's a couple things we have to check as we go, but I think I can pull it off. If not, I don't want to spend the money on a high pinion. So if it becomes a real severe clearance issue, I guess my backup plan would be a Dana 60. I'm just kidding. Probably a 3-link. Then I don't have to worry so much about that in there, because then I don't have to have so much triangulation in that lower bar, and I could run it a little farther outside the frame. But we'll cross all these little hurdles and bridges here shortly when we get into that. So as I'm sitting here talking to you guys, I just remembered that I think I'm freaking out of oxygen on the torch, and that is what we need to cut all these brackets off. I wonder, oh yeah, it's empty. Awesome. So I think we'll roll the front end out in the middle of the shop then, and just have to chisel it off with a plasma cutter. We got some grinding wheels, so let's roll the front end out and get blasting. And I'm hoping that by the end of this video, this thing will be sitting on the ground, 4-link front and rear, and that'll be a pretty good chunk of work done. And then I got a bunch of welding to do, and then the next step after the shocks get mounted is going to be all seat mounts and sheet metal. And I cannot wait to do the sheet metal on this because I already have the hood drawn. It's going to be super cool. It's going to have sides. The roof's going to have metal brakes in it. The rear bed sides are going to have brakes in it. So it's going to look pretty neat when it's all done. But anyway, enough of that BS. We're not there yet. So let's throw some sparks and try not to catch our pants on fire. Get that front end ready to rock. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Did this thing finally die? No way. Come on. Maybe it needs a jump start. Might need the old Dan Raymond tune-up. Oh, I can see it. Here, let's give it a hand. Oh, this one might be, she might be junk, boys. Well, we'll just leave it on, see if it either works or starts smoking. All right, what do we got going on here? Probably blow right through the axle tube on this, I'm sure. Yeah, right there, no biggie. Come on, baby, get through there. There you go. You see the oil leaking out of the hole that I just freaking blew in it. Awesome. Yeah, we're not gonna need these where we're going. Probably save these in case we ever go back to, if we ever go back to leaf springs in that rig or something, we should probably keep these around. Okay, so that little cutaroo thing there. Now on an axle tube, you'd be amazed how fast this thing can build some pressure in it. And if you've ever welded a cage together, especially TIG welding a cage, and you go to seal up the tube, and at the last little bit you go to weld, you notice it spits back out here. That's what that little teeny vent hole that you see in roll cages is for. It's not measuring the thickness of the tubing like a lot of people think. It is put in that tube specifically to let the gases that build up inside the tube out. Same thing can happen on a drive shaft, same thing can happen on axle tubes. If it can't vent out fast enough and it starts to build up pressure, and that's kind of what started to happen down there at the end. I think I got it for right now, but what I'll do is now we can clean up our mess from cutting all this stuff off, get the shop cleaned up again, and now we can start doing some 4-link brackets and cutting our lower links to length and getting our fittings TIG welded in. So just it's always nice to have a little M210 on hand. It'll pretty much seal anything out of metal, and you can pick them up anywhere. You can pick them up new at the welding shop, you can pick them up on Marketplace, but everybody should have a little tube at M210, and that'll help you really good when you got a hole in metal. Here's what I'm thinking. So I went ahead and got the front diff all cleaned up, got it rolled back in here. And normally when I do these, and a lot of people do these, you'll set the axle at full bump. And that way you can just make sure that nothing is gonna hit while you're building the suspension. So this rig's sitting at ride height right now on these little 32s, and I was gonna lower the chassis down to the ground and move the front axle up, and I'm doing this by myself today, and it just it gets hard to get the axle where you want it. So I'm gonna actually build the front 4-link with it sitting at ride height. So I have an old link off the 1311 that is 250 wall, and what I think I'll do is I'm gonna run that in between the frame rails. You can see where I've cleaned down there and here. And what I'm gonna do is we'll cut that in the bandsaw, make some fish plates. These are already in the computer, minus the holes. I'll probably do an outside and outside, then the tube will weld right here, but on the inside of the frame rail. And what that'll allow is that'll shoot across and be the same elevation as our rear link system that's already in. So when we do the belly pan can come up the frame right here and stop, and then obviously that protects everything inside, and the link will come off the leading edge of that cross member, which also will be the mounting point for the belly pan. It looks like it's going to clear the alternator. The upper link is going to shoot kind of where my hand is facing, but it's going to go way outboard on the outside of the chassis, and there's tubes that have to go in the chassis for that to attach. So we'll have an upper here and an upper here heading that way, 2 lowers going in. It's a tons of triangulation, which is good, but you know, this thing's not like a go fast. This actually has more front triangulation in it than our actual Ultra 4 does, which is embarrassing. But so I'm gonna go ahead and cut the link down, and we'll get all the paint off of it. We'll fire up the Torchmate, get inner plates, fish plates going for the frame rails, get that stuff tacked in, and then we'll go ahead and tack a bung in on both lower links, get those bars all cleaned up. And then I believe the drawing that I have when I did the rear 4-link, I think I can just change the inner tab about 3/16 of an inch, and we should be at the same angle on the front lowers, and we can use those, so we don't have to draw those. But there's some TIG welding involved on the little lock nut or lock plate that holds the head of the bolt. So we got a little bit of stuff to do to get the lowers in, but once the lowers in, uppers will go pretty fast. I was planning on building like a truss all the way across this, and I don't think we're gonna do that. I think we're just gonna run 2 towers, run a tube in between it, maybe some dimple dies in there, and we'll call that good. So let's get on to getting a cross member built. I was just getting ready to draw these plates, and my wife just slid a box into the garage door, and I think it's for old round eye. Let's see. I guess probably gonna have to wait till the end of the video to see what these are. That'll work. So when we get this, we'll get our side plates tacked in first, and then we'll get this cleaned up, get it tacked in, and then we can come in here and build our 4-link tabs off here and get our lower links built and get them put in. These tools are freaking awesome. This is just a Harbor Freight surfacer. I use it on everything. Bought it specifically for aluminum projects that we do, but it works great for deep mill scaling tube like this as well, with the coarser one. That's even got a little bit of King of the Hammers left on it. Nice. if I mentioned it already or not, but the point of these plates is just a doubler for the frame, because this is light gauge, obviously factory frame rail stuff. So if you spread the load out across the frame, obviously the bar you're attaching, you can weld super hot to this plate and it just spreads the load out. And then what I'll probably do is run a gusset forward and backwards that stretches from the tube to the fisheye plate back into the frame, make weld those in. So I went ahead and put a bevel on the end of this tube, nothing crazy, just a little bit. Wonder how close we can get with an old jack stand. Or if these are even the two matching jack stands. Okay, now we have something to work with. All right, getting some stuff laid out so we can go ahead and get these drilled and get one side tacked in. I just threw some of that MT10, I just caulked a bunch of it on the frame. See it down in there. So while that's drying and setting up, both sides are done. We'll get on to drilling the end of these, get them tic-tacked, and yeah, stuff like that. That's what we're gonna do next. All right, let's go drill a hole. It's not too crazy. You know, a friend of mine told me a joke a long time ago. We're building something, and he said, it's not like it's rocket science. And I kind of laughed, and he says, do you know what rocket scientists say to other rocket scientists? I said, no, what's that? And he said, it's not like we're trying to talk to women. Get her up to 230. Got her switched back to DC, ground's hooked up. Well, you really got to remember to close your eyes. Yeah, I'm gonna fill that in the morning. We'll go in here like this, and then do another one on that side. So we got to make two at exact size, and then we got to add an 1/16 there. Where's oh, sorry here.
You can just look it up too.
Okay, rear link tabs, axle 1. Let's see what's in here. Ooh. Ooh.
Piece of candy.
All right. So let's take this one right here. Okay, today's another day out in the shop. We had a pretty good day yesterday. This is where we're at right now.
Hey, man.
And that box that it opened up, that I said you're gonna have to wait till the end of the video to see, those were a set of 5 on. Huh?
Let's see if you can't see them.
No, you can't see them.
Oh yeah, no, you can't. Okay.
5 on 5.5 to 8 on 6.5 adapters, and they're sketchy. They bolt together, so the piece bolts to the rotor, and then you put lug nuts on that piece and bolt it on, and then you take the one with the 8 lugs and you put it on, and it has countersunk bolts. They're like $170 off of Amazon. But the reason I bought them was I needed to check some wheel back spacing because I have lots of trail ready wheels from the Ultra 4. So we had some extras sitting on the chase truck. I thought, man, I wonder if the backspace would work on those, because if that's the case, I could put a different set of tires on these wheels right here, and we'd have wheels until we figured out what exactly we were going to do for wheels and tires. And obviously, these are 37s, and that's not a good idea on Samurai axles, right?
Samurai, the axles leave.
Yes, they'd leave the chat.
Yeah.
But for building purposes, it looks pretty cool. Basically, 30 degrees in that one bar, 30 degrees in that one bar, that equals 60. So we're already over our total of 45. Like the Ultra 4, the lowers are like 20. So you got 20, 40, and then the uppers are, I want to say,
25?
No, I don't even think they're that much. There's not a lot of triangulation in the front forelink of that rig. Surprisingly, like this is 4 times as much.
The more triangulation, the better, though, right?
Well, sure. Yeah, I mean, and plus it'll twist up a lot better when you have your pivot points that far apart. It'll keep the axle more square when it's doing things less axle steer on flex, all those things.
Is there a tipping point for how much triangulation? Like,
no, you can
sweet spot or
yeah, there is sweet spot numbers, but like I said earlier, I'm not going to get into that kind of stuff on making these videos. Okay.
I was just wondering.
Yeah, that's stuff I can talk to you about later.
Yeah.
Okay. So with our lower numbers being already at 60, our upper links, they don't have to be like right in the middle of the truss, because if you brought them in here and in here, you know, you put these at 60, sure, would that be super awesome? That would be really nice to have. But the chassis is so narrow, if you kind of look over my shoulder here, I can run a link outboard on the housing over here, hit here, and still get the numbers that we need. Tucker's getting the upper links set up. So what we got going on here is I got this kind of set up on jack stands right here. So that'll hold it good enough. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna get 2 tabs here and here. Then we're gonna leave that, move the jack stands over to this side, get 2 tabs on the axle, and these ones are gonna be pretty tall. You know, they're gonna be up here like this. And then what I like to do when this is all done and it's attached to the chassis, we'll actually come back and we'll do some cool plate work that kind of comes down low, like a truss, but not really a truss, more like a big gusset. So that is what we need to do. We need to get some templates made really quick. We'll send them over to the Torchmate and rattle the dice, hit start. Who knows, maybe they'll work. What's up?
Yeah. What are you done?
So we got to get this link attached to the chassis in here, and what I was thinking about doing is running bar up high. We need to strengthen this node to begin with. So I think if we run like one from the bottom of the tube, like there somewhere, I think they're going to be on the same plane. And another one. There we go, like that. So that strengthens the corner of the chassis. We only need one bar in there for the chassis. That's but the bummer is we got to attach that link. So I think if one goes up high, hit that node on the bottom, run it across, and then you can kind of see where my thumb would be right here. I think we could plate that. Dimple die. Oh no, we can't dimple die because it's going to be 3/16. We'll just plate it, and then we can run 2 pad eyes off down to that link. What do you think, Tucker? Think it'll work?
I think it'll work.
I don't think it's gonna work. I guess we should probably try it though, huh?
You guys want to see a cool trick? All right.
So this is a trade secret when notching tubes. And a long time ago I shared this on Facebook. These are called notching caps. So you gotta go out and get some of these. I don't know if they sell them on Amazon, but you basically take your tube, you measure from end to end, put it inside the tube, 2 clicks, make sure you rotate 90 degrees, 2 clicks, rotate 90 degrees, and when you pull it out, it's perfectly notched, both ends. And if the caps are calibrated correctly, it'll fit. We'll see if it fits. It's possible. Sometimes if you don't rotate it 90 degrees, it won't fit just right. Oh, we got lucky on our calibration there. That's good. Watch yours. All right, we'll let that dry. And then we got to cut our bar for the other side, throw it in the tubing caps, rotate 90-90. And the upper ones, you actually have to use measurements and like a notcher and stuff like that, which is way boring. So, all right, carry on. I'm gonna go get a 15/16 wrench.
Right. That's what I just had.
Yeah, maybe I told you the wrong thing here.
But what was the socket used for then?
I don't know why that was out here. I did not get the wrenches out. You did.
I got the wrench. I didn't get the socket.
Because you took that link out to tack weld it.
Yeah, I didn't use a wrench to get it out. I used my hand. You got the...
Painful working with you sometimes.
No. You got the socket and ratchet it out.
Yeah, you're literally good with cocking these on here?
Good acquired.
Alright.
I mean...
It's fine.
If you don't want me to, say no. Well, now you're making me second guess. Man.
We're not gonna TIG weld them because if we TIG weld them, then we gotta take the bracket back off, D-mill scale it, D-mill scale all that. We'll just burn through it. We're just tacking it anyway.
Bet.
No.
The face of disappointment.
So now let's set up our jack stand on the other side, and we need to build the tower off the truss for the passenger link.
Yep.
We won't bend this. I'm banking on the... Judging on how equal these bars are as far as measurements and degrees from one side of the chassis to the other, I'm banking that that plate is going to be exactly the same as long as our tower is where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Okay? So let's do a little reboot and let's get building that tower.
Okay.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, sweet.
Put that side in and then put the other side in. Right?
Alright, so I don't want to necessarily tack that yet because I have to make sure that they're at the same angle. We gotta make sure that this length is the same length as the other one. See, is that measuring tape sitting right there?
Oh man, metal dust sticks to this phone.
I know. Things like a serious magnet.
Yeah.
Serial magnet.
The better?
Yeah. Okay, that does have to come up quite a bit actually, and I don't know if it's... I think one click's gonna be too much. Good? You that?
Good?
Yeah.
Awesome. Like some very intense measuring. Just to give it like boom.
I don't know, it's just kind of weird. I mean, it's measuring out right. It just, what throws me off always on the pumpkin side of things,
No, the one on the right's way taller.
it looks taller than this one.
You should just measure it. Measurements don't lie.
You gotta be kidding me, really? A measure? I was just curious, what have we been doing all day? Why you focus? What's over here?
I'm done.
You're done?
I'm
What do
done.
the Peck Boys say? I've had it! Those guys are freaking awesome. I want to wheel with those dudes. We should shoot them a message and take the 1311 over to Utah and meet them over there.
Just drive all the way to Utah.
Yeah. Man, you're full of smarts today, aren't you?
I am. I'm always full of smarts.
Yeah, you're full of something.
I don't know how to respond to that. I think that's a no comment answer.
Actually.
No, you gotta go like this. You gotta go like this. Actually.
Actually.
Yeah, there you go. Like that.
One tab left to go. So we gotta weld in the inner tab on the chassis right here. And then once that's burned in, we can jack up the rig, cut that front brace out, cut the rear brace out, and then we'll set it down on essentially what's bump, and is basically where the chassis is gonna hit the links, and that's all we're gonna do for right now. And then we'll go on to a bunch of other stuff. So, well, let's get this welded in. Ugh. And then we can see what it'll look like a lot lower. This is we decided it's gonna be way easier to just roll this thing outside and use the cherry picker. Was gonna use the chase truck crane, but apparently the switch doesn't want to work anymore. Yeah, it's the first time this thing's rolled. Be cool if it just rolled and broke all the little tabs and it would just fall down. That'd be nice. I think it's cool looking. It'll look totally different with the body on it, obviously. Because all this back here is going to be sheet metal down to like right here. kind of have an arc, go down. The roof will bend over the side. Nice job, Biz. Let's do the rear first, huh? Heave ho, heave ho. All right, let's roll around to the front and do the front. This one's got a little more weld on it. There we go, we can clean all that up later. Right there. 37's at full bump and it's probably 4 feet tall. All right, old round eye sitting on the ground, sitting on all faux. So these 37s are just sitting on it. This actually is going to get a set of side-by-side wheels or like a 32-inch tall tire because it still has factory SAMI axles, motor, or sorry, transfer case tranny, and it's got a 1.6 out of a sidekick in it. But pretty cool. It's been a fun build so far. I cannot wait to get it done. It's a 112.5-inch wheelbase. It's actually the same wheelbase as our 4800 car. But what I'll do in the next video, after this one, I'll get everything welded. I'm gonna get the shocks built, or the shock mounts built in that video. And I think I will do a bunch of measuring to just give the stats, right? How much does it weigh? We can put it on scales. I know what it weighed when it was a frame. But when it was a frame, leaf springs, the wheels and tires it came with, all the motor, tranny, transfer case, front and rear diff, I have that weight. I think it's 1240. So we could weigh it at this point, figure out what it weighs. Exact wheelbase, which I know is 112. We could get the belly height at right height. We could get the roof height at right height. Just some, I don't know, guys love numbers. I mean, I don't care, to me personally. If it runs, drives, jumps, wheels, you know, hauls ass across the desert, I'm happy with it. But it looks super cool. I'm excited to see it with sheet metal. I mean, tube chassis are definitely neat. I mean, that one over there looks pretty similar when it's not skinned. But yeah, so I guess that'll do it for now. And in the next video, we'll do some more fab work. We'll do a bunch of not being professionals and knowing enough to do it wrong. And we super appreciate everybody that's jumped on board to watch these videos. It gives me a lot more motivation to do them when we see this, you know, like a lot of views and people are starting to comment on them. That's really cool. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it.